Oh, Maga, you're in trouble. Apparently there's a shortage of workers on the farm. But don't worry, Maga. Brooke Collins, who heads agriculture, says that she has a solution. Seems like Trump and Brooke Collins have put their heads together and come up with a solution to solve the problem on the farms losing workers. Let's watch the video and see what Brooke Collins has to say to solve this issue.
Enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Did you hear that, Maga? They're saying if you're able-bodied and on Medicaid, you are going to work in the fields. Maga, this is where it hits you. You're going to work in the fields. And you're going to see what it's like for these undocumented immigrants to come to America and work a hard day's labor in the American fields. Get ready to pack up Mima and Pop-Pop and put them on a bus and send them to the fields, Maga. That's what you voted for, and that's what you deserve. Tell me what you guys think about this in the comments. Have a day.
So on election night, I thought that there were a number of states that would see what happened in the past and make a wise decision. One of those states that I thought would be wise would be Iowa. But on election night, I was soon brought to reality. Only 5 counties of the entire state voted for Kamala Harris. Donald Trump won overwhelmingly in the state of Iowa. But now, you're starting to see an increasing number of bankruptcies in that state. As a matter of fact, the numbers are trending up, and more importantly, they are almost as high as they were during the COVID period.
More of America's family farms are going bankrupt. Researchers at the University of Arkansas finding that more than 250 farms filed for Chapter 12 bankruptcy between April 2024 and this March, marking a drastic increase in financial distress. According to the data, nearly 90 farms filed for bankruptcy in the first quarter of this year, almost double the number from the same quarter in 2024. Analysts are contributing the rise to a handful of factors, including inflation, higher interest rates, and labor shortages, which are being exacerbated by President Trump's mass deportation campaign.
And now I was leading the nation, the entire nation, in the number of bankruptcies. Now I want you to be aware of this. The numbers were trending down during Biden, but now they are on the rise. Your family farms are collapsing. Your local investors are bankrupt. Your GDP has shrunk more than 6% this year alone. And yet you're still waving the flag for the man who lit the fire to inflame, burn down your house. My mother would always say, you could take a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. Now, I have a couple of questions. What has Trump ever done for you? What return did you get on your investment? I'll tell you what, you got racism, and you sure do love paying for it.
In small towns across rural America, farming isn't just an occupation. It's a way of life. Generations of families have worked the same soil, raising crops and livestock to feed the country. And in 2024, when Trump ran for president again, rural farmers overwhelmingly supported him. Trump won. But today, many of those farmers are facing a crisis. Here is the problem. The U.S. farm policy has long pushed farmers toward a large-scale monocropping and away from diverse local food production. This system ties American farmers directly to global commodity markets, making them especially vulnerable when trade wars break out. When Trump's first tariff hit in 2018, soybeans export to China collapsed down 74% in just 1 year. The number of soybean farms fell by nearly 11% between 2017 and 2022. The government stepped in with the bailout payments, But instead of saving family farms, much of the money flowed to the biggest operation, mega farms and billion-dollar corporations. The Environment Working Group put it bluntly, taxpayers are being asked to subsidize farm consolidation. So, what's the solution? Many experts say U.S. farm policy needs a reset, one that supports diverse farming, strengthens local and regional food farms, and helps farmers transition away from dependence on volatile global markets. Without it, bailout and trade deals will keep favoring the biggest players, while small towns farmers keep losing ground. American farmers put food on their table. They deserve more than promises, and bailouts that never reach them.
Alright, check this out. I really want to bring some attention to this article from the New York Times and to the story of Carol. Now, this article is not very long. It flew under the radar, and I'll link it in the description below, but I want to provide some commentary because it is a perfect illustration of just the journey a town goes on when they face the consequences of their vote. It's titled, "A Missouri Town Was Solidly Behind Trump. Then Carol was detained." And this is a story that we've sort of revisited, at least the theme of this. I mean, read this post from Jake Cowan. This was posted on Facebook. He lives in Florida. There was a bust that happened today. He posted, "Lost a lot of good men today. I like Trump, but this isn't what I voted for. This will absolutely kill the economy in construction. I thought he was going after gang members and criminals with warrants, not hardworking guys. He's going after hardworking guys, hardworking women. He's going after children with cancer. He's going after old people who have been here for decades, and a lot of the time with no due process. Here's the thing. If there's a criminal in the country who came here illegally and refuses to stop committing crimes, sure, deport them with due process, of course. But that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. We are seeing students that are going to Harvard getting their visa stripped away. Students that go to Columbia getting their visa stripped away for making a post on social media when they were studying to be a doctor or a lawyer. We're seeing the smartest of students. We're seeing the sickest of kids all being deported with no due process. And it's absolutely absurd. It brings me to this story. For 20 years, Carol Hui has served waffles, raised her children, and embraced a small town of Kennett, Missouri. Her detention and pending deportation has hit the entire community hard. This is a close-knit town that has gone through a journey together, and I want to know what you guys think. Let's talk about this. It'll be a quick read. Let's start here. The first sign of trouble came early this month when Carol didn't show up for her shift at John's Waffle and Pancake House. She was a very reliable worker. She lived in a conservative farming hub of 10,000 people in the state's southeastern Boot Heel. In the 20 years since she arrived from Hong Kong, she had built a life and a family in Kennett, with the town with 10,000 people. Working 2 waitressing jobs and cleaning houses on the side, she began every morning at the bustling diner. Quote, "Everyone knows Carol," said Lisa Dry, a Kennett City Councilwoman. "It sounds like a town where everybody knows everybody." That all ended on April 30th when federal immigration officials summoned Carol, 45, whose legal name is Ming Li Hui, to their office in St. Louis, a 3-hour drive from Kennett. Her partner, a Guatemalan immigrant, had voiced suspicion about the sudden call, but, quote, "I didn't want to run," Ms. Hui said in a jailhouse phone interview. "I just wanted to do the right thing." This sentence hits hard. She said in a jailhouse phone interview. In this photo above, you can see was taken, I believe, during the same conversation. But to continue, she was arrested and jailed to await deportation. Ms. Hui's...
You know, when I'm having a bad day, it sometimes helps to find a story about dumbass Trump voters who are now finding out just how stupid it was to have voted for that criminal. And I came across a story from NPR just now. Here's the headline. "A Maryland town wanted Trump to cut waste. Now it's a target." And when I saw this headline, I thought, oh, this has got to be a town in Western Maryland. And it is. It is a town called Emmitsburg, which looks to be, I looked at the map, it is a stone's throw from Pennsylvania. And if you aren't familiar with Pennsylvania, I lived there for a while. If you get outside of the cities, which is most of the land area of Pennsylvania is outside of the cities, it's a very rural state, big state, you might as well be in Alabama. I mean, it is hardcore Maga.
Anyway, so it's no surprise that this town is close to Pennsylvania. Let me read some of this article for you. Frank Davis saw a lot of waste during his decades in the federal government. In November, he voted for Donald Trump to get rid of it. So far, Davis likes a lot of what he has seen. Quote, "I'm probably going to get shot for this, but he is doing what he said he was going to do," says Davis, who serves as mayor of his town of about 3,000 people in western Maryland, just south of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So, Mr. Davis here, Frank, is mayor of Emmitsburg. In March, the Trump administration suddenly canceled in-person classes at the National Fire Academy here, which trains the United States firefighters. Not only is the academy a big part of Emmitsburg's identity, but it also helps drive the local economy. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good, especially if you're mayor. Quote, "It will change my outlook to say that they're not being fair," says Davis. Actually, did I skip something here? I did. Let me go back. Davis says the administration is reviewing the academy's operations, and he is hopeful it will restore classes. If not, he says, he'll see the administration somewhat differently. Quote, "It will change my outlook to say that they're not being fair," says Davis, who also serves as emergency medical services captain at the local firehouse known as the Vigilant Hose Company. Quote, "They're just going in to cut and not caring what they cut." Well, you know, Frank, where he says here, "It will change my outlook to say they're not being fair," how is it that they're not being fair? Oh yeah, I know. Because now they're cutting something that you benefit from. That's why it's not fair. If Trump was cutting things that only affected and hurt other people, you'd be all for it, right, Frank? Mayor Frank? You'd be all for that as long as it's not you who is getting screwed. Typical selfish Maga. Emmitsburg voted overwhelmingly for President Trump in November. NPR interviewed about 24 people here. Almost all of them voted for Trump, and many said his plans to cut federal spending were a key attraction. Now they say they are puzzled as to why the administration would cancel national training for firefighters. Why would they do that? We voted for him to cut, but why is he cutting this?
Drunk. They used to have a Walmart, the only Walmart in the area, closed. And through a lot of economic downturn, they have been able to stay open. But unfortunately, because of Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, there are fears that it may close. In a town that overwhelmingly voted for Trump, and frankly, I don't think they realized they were voting for this, and I want to talk about it today. Before we get into it, if you're new here, it would mean a lot if you click like and subscribe. I'm 23 years old. My name's Chris Mowry. I'm basically a Gen Zer who screams all the time about how Republicans suck. So if you want to stay on top of the news, here's some of my takes. It would mean a lot if you subscribe down below. Before we hop into this story, this is a theme we're seeing with MAGA and Trump supporters. And I don't really know how I feel so much of saying, you know, fuck around, find out, like these people deserve what they're getting. I really think most of the blame should go to Donald Trump for conning the American public. But at some level, I see you guys in the comments, I hear you, it's kind of mind-boggling. This went really viral the other day. This is on LinkedIn, oddly enough. A woman who owns a business. I've been getting a lot of hateful messages since my last post about my business struggles. Yes, my husband did vote for Trump. Yes, Trump's tariffs have seriously disrupted my supply chain and hurt my business. That said, I still support my husband. He voted for what he truly believed was right. It's complicated, but so is life. But like on an issue like this, is it complicated though? Like, really? This is where I get to the point where I'm like, okay, fuck around and find out. He told you a million times he's going to implement tariffs. And it really was pretty simple. He was lying to your face when he said tariffs are paid for by other countries. People like you and I screamed, hey, they're not. They're going to be paid for by American businesses, and this could really hurt. You can let me know what you think down below. But we see people like Ellie just in the last few days, a month ago. Latinas for Trump co-founder blast, quote, inhumane immigrant arrest. Florida State Senator and co-founder of Latinas for Trump issued a sharp rebuke of President Trump on Sunday as his administration seeks to ramp up deportations.